Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, a better way to eliminate debt. And we are excited to be here in the P.I.L.L Method. The P.I.L.L Method Club is excited to be in the Mortgage Syndicate Club this morning. And folks, we have just pinned the link to the top of the room, and this is day 3 on the P.I.L.L Method. This is part 3 of our series on what is the P.I.L.L method. P.I.L.L stands for prepayment of principal, isolating the principal amount, leverage, and liquidity. Oh my goodness, we spent some time on the background of P.I.L.L method. Then we spent some time on what prepayment of principal actually means and what it does for you. And just to give you a quick overview, and then we'll get into everything. People know that you can prepay a loan or you can pay extra on a loan. What has never happened in the history of lending since 1934, since, people have really got this whole thing of the amortized mortgage, really got popularized in 1934, where we could get a payment that we can afford, but the interest cost is so tremendous, we have not paid attention to it. So when we have not paid attention to that, we're paying 75% more interest than we need to pay. By understanding the rules, you don't have to pay all of that interest. So when we understand what happens, guess what? When you pay extra on a loan, the bank has never sent you a receipt saying, thank you very much. This is how much interest you just saved. But what if you knew that by paying an extra, let's say $200, you could save $1,000 in interest you didn't have to pay? Or maybe an extra, $50 would mean $250 in interest you don't have to pay. If we knew what happened when we prepaid, we can come up with a strategy so that we can get our equity much cheaper. If you're a real estate investor, if you are a retail home buyer, then you can pay off that home, your credit cards, your student loans, all of your debt in an average of 7 to 9 years because of all the interest you will not pay. You don't need more money to handle your debt. You just need to pay less interest. And we're going to show you the game today. Listen, if you have a question about any of this, raise your hand. Come to the stage this morning. And I would love to be able to have a conversation with you about whatever is going on in your life financially. Here's what I need all of you to know. All right. All of you that are in here right now, please start sharing the room. Share the room. But know this. The reason we're in the financial situations we are in, most of us, it is not because we have been irresponsible with our money. I'm telling you, the reason why most of us are in the financial shape that we're in is because we're following best practices that are taught by the current financial gurus that are out there right now, and information that comes from banking. I mean, stuff that's on the internet, even information that comes from the national news. We're following it. But because we're following it, we don't know the long-term results of that, and it's not getting us to where we want to go. So if by going through all of this, you're thinking, there's got to be a better way than this, I guarantee you it is. And I want you to know, I want you to listen very closely to me right now. If you're doing something else, stop for the next 3 seconds. Your financial situation that you're in, for most of us, is not your fault. It is not because you weren't paying attention in class that you miss this information. It is because there was no class. There was no class. Have you ever, just stop and think about it. Have you ever had a class on amortization? I mean, how the bank makes its money by setting up a schedule of payments. Have you ever studied how that actually works? Has anybody ever sat you down and said, listen, if you do this instead of that, this whole thing would work in your favor? Has anybody ever done that in life, whether it was junior high, high school, college, whether it was in your business courses in college, was it if you're a CPA, did you get it? If you are a real estate investor, did you get it? If you are a real estate agent, did you get that education? Even if you are a loan officer, did you get that information? And the answer I've gotten over the last 16 years is no, 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 no. You want to know how loans actually work. So start sharing the room, folks. We're going to get into this thing. And if you want to see what we've done so far, all right, this is part 3 of this series of what is the P.I.L.L method. So you can go to our YouTube channel and look up the first 2 parts. All right. And it's going to help you to understand this third part, because we're going to jump way in. All right. And I know that the part that we're going to go over may be hard to understand, but when you put the other 2 parts together, this third part makes total sense. All right. So we're going to be talking about we talked about prepayment of principal already and what it means to you. Now we're going to talk about isolating the principal amount. That's the I in P.I.L.L method. What does that mean? Isolating the principal amount. Figuring out how much to pay. Isolating. So you can pay you can pay practically any amount that your finances dictate towards your loan. But isolating it means figuring out what is the best amount to pay down to the penny. And then the exact amount, finding out which month to do it in, because you don't do it every single month. No. You don't put extra money on debt every month. That is the wrong way to handle your money. No, what you want to do is find the right month to do it in. Then once you find the right month, then you want to find the right day of the month to do it on. Then you want to attack the right loan, because the average American today has about 13 different debts. That's average. That means some of us have more than that, and some of us have less than 13 different debts. And guess what? Those of us that have the average and even more than the average, a lot of us make really good money. We're not struggling financially. No. Not struggling. We can pay all of our bills just like that. But when you find out, even when you make good money and you can pay your bills. Listen, you've got low utilization on your credit cards. You can go on vacation anytime you want. You can drive anything you want, and you're living well. But guess what? Even those of us that live well are paying 35 to 39% of your take-home pay just on interest charges alone on these debts. What if you could do the same thing, purchase the same stuff using the same credit, but pay 50 to 75% less interest? Now, that would matter if we knew what our interest consumption was. But most of us have no idea how much interest we're consuming. That's what I call it in my book, interest consumption. How much interest are you actually paying on your debt each month? Most of us don't know. You know why? Because we haven't added it up. Do you know why we haven't added it up? Because no one has ever pointed it out that was something important to know. How much interest am I actually paying? We have been taught to look at interest rate. I'm going to tell you the benefit of concentrating on interest cost. What is the cost of managing these loans? Add that up and see if there's something we can do about interest cost. I guarantee you could do something about interest cost. Come on, folks. We got 4 shares in here. All right. We've got 16 people. 30 people have been through the room so far. By the time I'm done over the next 2 hours, We want to have at least 500 people come through the room. We want to have at least 100 shares by the time it's all said and done. And we're going to start that right now, because the more you share now, the more people come in and the more people can get this information. Because remember, the financial situation you're in, even though it could, by most standards, is a good situation, some of you are feeling it's just not right. There's something, I can't put my finger on it. You know, like the Matrix. There's something going on here. It doesn't feel exactly right. I know we're making good money. I know we're doing well. I know we pay our bills on time. But when I employ a strategy to handle my finances, I'm not getting where I want to go fast enough. And when I do pay attention to how much interest I'm paying, oh my gosh, it looks like a ton of interest. What is going on here? And no matter what I do, I'm noticing what I have here 5 years from now, I owe almost as much as I did when I started, even 5 and 10 years later. Why is that? And what can we do about it? So we're going to talk about what we can do about it today by understanding prepayment of principal, isolating the principal amount, leverage, and liquidity. Listen, I'm going to follow my own advice and share the room. All right. Get in here. All right. Hear this information. All right. And I'm going to put some exclamation points on this thing. All right. And we're going to put some gems and some fire emojis on this thing and share it out to Clubhouse so other people can come in and see what we're doing right now. So please, even if you've shared it already, share it again so other people can come in and see what's happening. If you want to see the numbers, the information I'm getting ready to put on the screen, we are simulcasting to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn right now. And some of these things you want to see how isolating the principal amount happens and how we can use technology to maximize interest savings. How would you like to be able to save the maximum amount of interest that's mathematically possible for you with the current interest rate you have? Okay? So what I want to do first is put some things up so I can give you an idea of what happens when you find out how much money to pay and when to pay it. What is the best thing to do when we do that? So let me put some information up here for you. Okay? And let me see here. I got to get into, there we go. Open that up. And we're going to put some case studies on the screen. How would you like that? Okay. So you can actually see what's going on. You notice my 10K card at the top of the room there. All right. So go ahead and click that, and you can find where it says watch us live. And then when you click on that, you will see individual links that you can get the links to where you want to watch us live. Your best place you want to go. All right. Or you can go straight to Facebook or straight to YouTube, LinkedIn, or Twitter, and then search P.I.L.L method. And you can do it that way too. I would actually do it on a separate device like your computer or your laptop or your tablet, like an iPad or something. And then when you do, turn the volume down on that secondary device and listen to that way, because there's always a delay from Clubhouse. And then you can listen to the audio on Clubhouse and watch the video on your secondary device, because you may see something and you may want to ask some questions. And that way we won't get feedback when you open up your mic. All right. I'm looking one more time for anybody who wants to ask any questions. I'm going to put right now, we're going to put this on the screen. It is a commercial loan. All right. And the reason why I'm starting out with a commercial loan is because we're in the mortgage syndicate, and a lot of people in the mortgage syndicate are real estate investors. But guess what? If you are a residential home buyer, the same information applies to you as well. Okay? So I want you to know that we're going to understand the basics of what is happening with this. So right now I have on the screen, oh my goodness, I see Craig in here. Craig has got a party hat on. That means, Craig, you've been on Clubhouse less than a week. And I want to thank you for being in here. So let's help Craig out and help him to understand. Craig, at the top of the page, you see Mortgage Syndicate, and there's a little green house. Would you click on that if you haven't already and join the Mortgage Syndicate? Because Mortgage Syndicate is here 5 days a week. Okay, the regular show. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, from 6 a.m. Eastern to 12 p.m. Eastern, 6 hours a day, giving out valuable information. And now the P.I.L.L method is coming in on the first day of the week, Sunday, and we are giving out game on how to understand how mortgages work. Oh my goodness. In fact, I have been given the distinct pleasure of working with a Cinch Business Academy that teaches people how they can level up and become a business purpose loan broker. Cinch Business Academy is teaching people how to become a loan broker. And guess what? You don't need a license to be able to lend millions of dollars. You can be the lender. You can be the bank. When real estate investors are looking for money, they could be looking for you, and you can lend that money. And that's what Cinch Business Academy is all about. And also, they have a free part of the course so that you can be an MLO. That is a mortgage loan originator for residential properties, which you do need a license for. So they're covering both aspects of that. Business purpose and residential, and it's all in the same course. Oh my goodness, it is a powerful course, and so powerful, and here's what makes it even more powerful. Of all the courses that are taught in the United States about how to become a lender, this is the only one that actually incorporates how to understand how a mortgage actually works. They've incorporated the P.I.L.L method into their system. That is powerful. Okay. The only course. So if you ask any lender right now, if you know one, ask them, is it part of your curriculum to know how a mortgage actually works? Did you have to take a test on it? Did they teach you anything about how the bank makes its money and how to defeat it? How to give your clients information on how to cut their interest costs by 75%? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's not there. We're teaching it here. And Jonathan Bing who is a partner in Cinch Business Academy, along with Daphne Christine. So they're working together now, and they've incorporated the P.I.L.L method is the only course on the planet right now that offers this information. So if you want to know more about it, let's get ready. Let's get started. So I need you to watch this. So what we have on the screen right now is $2 million worth of loans. $2,236,376. All right. And we have about 20 years to pay this off for this particular investor. All right. Now let's look over to the right. Now this two commercial buildings that we're talking about. And in these commercial buildings, here's how much is coming in. All right. The rents that are coming in, around $57,882 a month. That's what's coming in on average. Look at this. Look at the monthly payments on these two loans. Only $14,696. That's what the mortgage payments are. This is called cash flow, folks. I mean, this is huge when it comes to cash flow, wouldn't you say? If you'd like to have this cash flow right now, put a number 1 in the chat. If you could be bringing in over $57,000 a month, but it only cost you less than $15,000 in mortgage payments, would you like to be able to do that? Come on, put a number 1. Earl Bender online says definitely. That's a number 1. Anybody else? Would you like to make that? Would you like to be in that position? Okay. So here's let me give you a little background story on this. All right. Earl says, listen, Earl, listen. I see you, Earl. Come on. Earl says, listen, don't ignore me. All right. And somebody else says BTM. Let's see. BT Muscove says the same thing. We got on Clubhouse, we got Jonathan Jones. We got Steve Mack that said number 1. I want to know more about this. I would want to make that kind of cash flow. But guess what? This real estate investor is making this kind of cash flow. But guess what they weren't paying attention to? This. Let me scroll down here. Let me put this to the top line. Here's what they weren't paying attention to. Even though this real estate investor was making a lot of money, look how much interest the bank wants on this loan. $1,123,195. Look at that. Look at that. So $2 million worth of loans, $2.2 million worth of loans. But even though it's cash flowing, it's going to cost $1,123,195 in interest to pay off those buildings. So he didn't worry about it before because of what's on the first line. $57,000 coming in and only $14,696 going out. And what he was believing is what he has been taught getting into real estate investing in the first place. You don't have to worry about how much interest is being paid. Why? Because the tenants are paying the interest. The tenants are paying it. This particular investor read my book. Once they read my book, they gave us a call at the office and said, listen, and they told me who they were. And if you lived in Huntsville, Alabama, you would know who this person was. So I didn't believe him at first. I thought somebody was messing with me. But when he told me who he was and told me the business he was in and assured me this was not a joke, he says, I read your book. I see now, I understand now what I'm doing is I am leaving money on the table. Stop right there. Stop right there. Leaving money on the table. I need to wake everybody up. Wake up, everybody. Wake up, everybody. We're leaving millions. Real estate investors are leaving millions of dollars on the table when it comes to investing. And I'm going to show you why. Is it millions of dollars in interest? Yeah, sort of, kind of. But I'm not just talking about the extra interest that real estate investors are paying. I'm talking about the unrealized benefits and profits you're missing out on because you're paying the interest. It's called opportunity cost, folks. Opportunity cost. What does that mean? If I'm paying over $1 million in interest on a property, all right, I know I'm making money on the front end. I can see that. The front end says $57,000 coming in, $14,000 going out. That's the front end. But what's the back end? The amount of interest that I'm paying. But if I don't have to pay that interest, I'm missing out on the fact that I can't pay that interest and also invest that money. What are we missing out on? The opportunity cost here is the amount of interest that I could have saved, I could now also invest. Let me put it another way. We're satisfied with the situation because it's making money. We're satisfied with it. Okay? And we're real estate investors, so we're going to take our profits and we're going to invest that too. All right? So this is what this guy does. He takes his profits and invests it in more properties. And then he's going to get a return on those properties that you can calculate in, for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years. You can calculate that going into the future. What he failed to calculate was the amount of interest he could have saved to acquire the same asset and then invest that money as well, because you were going to pay it. If you're going to pay it, why not pay it to yourself instead of paying it to the bank? And if you pay it to yourself, if you keep from, Benjamin Franklin said, a penny saved is a penny earned. Well, would it be that $1 million saved is also $1 million earned? What if you're a real estate investor and could do what I'm getting ready to point out right now? I've got 9 shares. Can I just get one more? If I can get one more, I will show you what this guy is doing. All right. Anybody wants to know, if you want to know how this real estate investor is now turning the interest that he didn't have to pay into multiple millions of dollars, I just need one more share. I need to go from 9 to 10. Can we get one more share in here so we can get, so I can show you what is actually going on with this? I'm still stuck at 9. All right. Somebody. Come up. Come on. Somebody. Let's get us to 10. All right. All right. So while we're getting to 10, I want to have everybody who's in here tell us where you're from. All right. We've made it to 10. Go ahead and tell us where you're from. All right. Chime in. Tell us where you're from. And while you're telling us where you're from, I am going to go into his, because now we've gotten to 10. All right. Watch this. So he said, we've got here monthly debt payments, right? And other monthly expenses. So we put everything under other monthly expenses. This is the money he wants to invest. Okay. And he says, Don, I'm putting about $6,000 away into a reserve fund that has over $100,000 in it right now. Okay, over $100,000 in it, and he's putting a little over $6,000 a month in there, like clockwork. It's 11.2% of the total income. 11.2% of the total income putting into the reserve fund. He says, I want to invest the rest of the money. You can't touch that. I want to invest that. I said, okay, let's do something novel here. Okay, you've got all that money in the bank and you're putting more in on top of it just in case something goes wrong and you can fix it on your buildings. Okay. Plus, all right, I need to add something else in here. You want to tune in on this as well. Once you established your business, guess what else this real estate investor has done? Leveled up their business credit, and they have lines of credit as well. The cash is a backup just in case something happens to the lines of credit. The lines of credit is what he relies on for doing maintenance and repairs, because the interest on the lines of credit is nowhere near how much interest he could save if he uses parts of his cash to kill interest. The amount of interest on the money he borrows doesn't even begin to compare with the amount of interest he can save by using his cash. And this is what we've been taught. Why use somebody else's money and pay interest when you can use your cash and pay no interest? Folks, when you have debt, the most expensive money you have, write it down. The most expensive money you have is your money sitting in the bank. Most expensive money you have. Because we've not been taught how we can leverage that money to save a ton of interest. Let me show you what we're talking about. So let's scroll down. We're going to scroll down here. And whenever you're ready, go ahead and raise your hands. Raise your hands. All right. So we have $1,123,195 in total interest that the bank wants. We're going to show this real estate investor how to pay only $231,000 in interest. That's it. The bank wants $1,123,000. We're going to show him how to pay only $231,000. Folks, that is an interest savings to do the exact same thing he was doing before. And he was okay with it because the tenants were paying the rent. The tenants were paying the rent. Instead of paying $1,123,000 in interest, he's now only going to pay $231,000 in interest and save $891,726. Kareen, how are you doing this morning? How are you? How are you?
Don, I'm doing well. Thank you for hosting this room. It's highly important. And when I saw your room after Clubhouse Church, I was in Breakfast with Champions worship room. I noticed that there's not a lot of people. And so I brought my community in here with me to make sure that everybody learns about your P.I.L.L method, because being the person that have spent years in the banking and financial industry, it's something that is not taught. I was one of those bankers that didn't teach. Here's why. Because I only knew what I knew. I only knew what to deliver based on my training, and this was not part of my training program. So I'm so glad for people like yourself who are just massively changing this world through your method. Don, it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
I so appreciate you, Kareen. Would you please introduce yourself to the folks and tell them what you do and give them the background and why you say what you're saying?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here, everybody, and thanks for the opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Kareen Mills with a heart on my photo. The heart is my mom's heart. It's a tribute to her every time I speak because of her sacrifices. So I am a money-making mentor, helping women really understand financial literacy. Now, when I say women, I'm not saying that I exclude the men. I do have men in my ecosystem. It's my niche. I was anointed and appointed to serve the women and mostly moms, really. And I teach adults and parents inside my ecosystem financial literacy in order to pass on generational wealth. I believe that it's not just about passing on the shiny objects that we build and accumulate in our lifetime, such as real estate, houses, like Don is talking about, cars, money. I believe that it will sustain from one generation to another when we pass on with it financial literacy. I'm also the founder of Kareen.club. It's my club called, I call it the Money Keeping, Money Making, and Money Multiplying Club, which we promote financial literacy inside the club. I just relaunched the club, so if you DM me the word CLUB club, you'll get a $20 off per month instead of paying $27. Don, thank you for having me. I'll hand it over back to you.
Thank you,
Rose.
Thank you so much. We have Rose Allure Lewis in here. Credit Goddess, how are you doing this morning?
I'm great. How are you? Hey, Kareen.
All right, Rose, listen, I want to finish up a point here, but when I finish that, will you still be here in the next 3.5 minutes so you can introduce yourself?
Take your time.
All right, because I want to catch up the new people that just came into the room, folks. Listen, I need you all to share the room. We have 11 shares right now. We have 32 people in here, and if you're part of Kareen's club, if you're part of people who follow Rose Allure Lewis, Credit Goddess, you know how important it is to share the room so other people can learn. Also, if you want to see my screen, go to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn on a secondary device like a laptop or a like a iPad or something.
Tablet.
Yeah, tablet. All right. So go ahead and look up P.I.L.L method, and then click on live. You can watch this live. Turn down the volume on your secondary device because you may want to come in Clubhouse and ask a question, and that way we won't get feedback. Use the Clubhouse for audio. Watch these numbers that I'm putting on the screen right now. And what we're talking about today, Kareen and Credit Goddess, is understanding the P.I.L.L method. A few days ago, we went over prepayment of principal. Now today is isolating the principal amount, how much to pay and when. It is so important to drill down to get the exact amounts, the right month to do it in, and the right day of the month to do it on, so you can maximize your interest savings. And why is it so important? Because what I've got on the screen here is a real estate investor. And if you are a residential home buyer, this information applies to you as well. All right. But just work with me here. All right. So we have $2 million worth of loans, $2,236,000 worth of loans. This guy is set up. He's perfect. Okay. The rents that he's bringing in on these two office buildings comes to over $57,000 a month. The mortgage payments are $14,696. That's it. Cash flowing like a champ. Everything is working well until he read my book. And he realized that even though the tenants are paying the rent and paying the mortgage and he's cash flowing like crazy, I mean, that's $43,000. $43,000 a month after paying the mortgages. So that is good money. But even though he's making that much money, guess what he wasn't paying attention to? Even though the tenants were paying the rent, he wasn't paying attention to how much interest he was actually paying, and he didn't really know that there was something he could do about it. So here's what it breaks down to, folks. Watch this. The bank wants him to pay back $1,123,000 in interest. See, the problem with paying that interest is you can't also invest that money. You pay the interest, and real estate investors are looking at this as the cost of doing business. But what if he could do the exact same thing, acquire the same assets, make the same kind of money, and continue to invest his profits at the same rate, but only pay $231,000 in interest instead? That means that's $891,726 in interest now he does not have to pay. What could he do with that money? Now I need you to look at this thing. Over $40,000 a month coming in, most of it being invested to buy more property. Leverage that up. Okay. And then also paying this kind of interest to get that. Most real estate investors would say that's a perfect scenario. But when he read my book, because there was something going on in his head, yeah, I'm making money here, but I think over $1 million in interest to pay is too much to pay, even though we have the tenants are paying the freight. Because he started to realize when he received his rent checks, all of that money was his, and he wanted to hang on to more of it. When he read the book, he said, there's something here. I want to be able to do that as well. So when we showed him how to pay only $231,000 in interest, that is an $891,000 savings. That means if he were to have an interest rate from the bank on his loans where he was only paying $231,000 in interest, do you know what the interest rate would have to be? 0.67%. We're making his loans, even though they're at 5 and 6%, we're making his loans act like they were less than 1% by showing him the rules of the game. He's now playing the game at a higher level. He's making money on the front end and he's making money on the back end twice. What? What do you mean twice? A penny saved is a penny earned, right? A penny saved is a penny earned. So if we could take that money that he was going to pay anyway, and cash flowing like he is, over 43 grand a month, what if he were to take that $891,000 and all the money he doesn't have to pay to the bank anymore over the next 17 years? What if he could turn that into another $9 million? Now, this is significant. The penny saved is a penny earned. So $891,000 you don't have to spend. That's making money on the back end once. Making it twice is taking that money he signed to pay. Now he doesn't have to pay. Now we can invest that money as well, because money you did not have to spend on interest, you can now invest. And now he can make over $9 million with that. Now, why is that number significant? Because this is a 1% return on his money. The $9 million is a 1% return on his money. I could project out over the next 17 years, 10% return on his money compounded, or 15% compounded. But those numbers would just be so enormous. It would boggle the mind. Okay. It would be so hard to believe how much money we're leaving on the table by paying more interest than we're supposed to pay. I want to get more into this, but I need Credit Goddess to go ahead and introduce herself. And I got some folks on the stage now that want to ask some questions. Credit Goddess, would you please introduce yourself and then we can get into these questions?
Absolutely. Really quickly. Hey, everyone. My name is Rosa Laura Lewis, also known as Credit Goddess. I'm all things credit. I'm a credit score improvement strategist. So not only do I help my clients repair their credit, but through education, I help them optimize and improve their credit so that way they can be in the best position to qualify for funding, whether it's to purchase your home, start a business, purchase your first car, your third, whatever it is. We need to be in the best position with our consumer reports, where we're always approved, never denied. I'm also a business credit coach. Along with that personal credit, you definitely need to have your personal credit together to then tap into business credit. If you are cash and carry, you've been operating on cash and you want to have that extra leverage for your business and your personal credits together, I also coach my entrepreneurs to establish business credit so that way they can grow and scale by leveraging that. And I'm also an educator in the credit space. And if anyone is looking for any type of loans for their business, real estate investing, anything in that sort, I'm also a NAV business loan broker. So when I say I'm all things credit, all of that combined, personal credit, business credit, and loans. So definitely tap in with me if you guys are interested. The number is in my bio, 888-557-5778, where you can send your name and email address to. And my assistant will get you that link to book a consultation with me. Thank you, Don.
You are so welcome. You're so welcome, Credit Goddess. And listen, we have two people on the stage right now. We have Miss Courtney Mendoza. Courtney, how are you doing this morning?
Hey, Don. It's Courtney and Bella are part of my club, and I pulled them up because I know that they may have a question for you with P.I.L.L method.
Okay.
And they also want to make sure they support this room.
Oh, listen, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Ladies, do you have a question or comment this morning, Miss Courtney?
Good morning. No, sir, I don't have any questions just yet. I am just listening, learning, and taking notes. And I see your P.I.L.L method there. I've followed you on Instagram, and I'm just excited to learn. Thank you for letting me be here.
Certainly, certainly. Miss Bella, how about you this morning?
Hey, Grand Rising. Listen, I'm pumped and excited. I want to say I'm a proud member of the Kareem Club. I'm going to say it to the world. Kareem for president. I'm very excited. I was on Clubhouse and I'm a newbie, but I'm ready to learn. Dr. Pill. Learn as I earn. Excited and absolutely humble to be here, but I'm proud to represent Kareem.club. Back to you, sir.
Thank you so very much for that. So, folks, here's if you want to see what we've got going on right now. We're simulcasting to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. All right. If you want to see it, go there on a secondary device and search for P.I.L.L method, and you'll be able to find us. Click on the live, and you can see these examples. So here's what I need you all to be able to, if you're in real estate investing, here is found money that most real estate investors have not paid attention to. If you're a real estate investor, there's not a real estate investor on this planet that I can't walk up to and ask them, on that last property that you sold, what did you buy it for and what did you sell it for? They'll be able to tell me, and I'll say, how much profit did you make? They would do the math. And then tell me, this is how much I made on it. And every real estate investor I've ever asked, I said, did you consider how much interest you paid to get that money? Every single one says no. If you had to pay $1,123,195 interest to get your profit, how much money you made on that deal, what would happen if you subtracted that money out of it? Is interest paid? Should we consider that an expense? Interest paid, should we consider it an expense even though somebody else paid it? You better believe it. You better believe it, because that money hit your hand first. It came into your bank account first. Because here's what also I know. On that profit, we have all sorts of strategies on how to keep that profit by managing our tax liabilities. We have all kinds of strategies to save on taxes. We have no strategies to save on the interest cost if we're real estate investors. What about that? So here's what we're talking about, folks. So instead of paying $1,123,000, we're going to show him how to pay $231,000 instead in interest. That's $891,000 in interest he did not have to pay. Therefore, he can now invest that money he didn't have to pay and turn it into another $9 million. And that's at 1% return on his money. 1% return. So what does that sound like, folks? What does it sound like? It sounds like, even though we're cash flowing a ton on the front end, we're losing a ton on the back end, money we weren't even paying attention to. And do you know what they say? You don't miss what you can't measure. And we have been taught not to measure. Okay? I'm going to show you just one of those loans. I'm going to pull up some information here on a amortization schedule, and then we're going to get into isolating the principal amount. I'm getting ready to show you the basics. This is not what we do. I'm just showing you the basics here so that you can understand what we do a little better, okay? Because somebody's saying, Don, how in the world can a seasoned real estate investor, I'm talking about seasoned, I'm talking about gray hair, how can they go through all their life and miss this point that you're talking about now? Because I'm kind of seeing that it's so obvious. We should have been paying attention to how much interest we were paying. How do we get to the point where we're not paying all of that interest? So I'm going to put something on the screen for you so you can kind of see it. I got to get to my notes so I can, let me see here. We got to pull this up. All right. And let's see. Let me get to my notes, and let's see here. Done there, and do a quick search. All right, so I'm going to put in to my, and then I'll pull the numbers over for you. All right, I'm putting in a mortgage payment of $8,704. All right, at 5% interest. Okay, and 300 payments. That's 25 years. I need you all to see this because it's going to be amazing. We're moving this over here so you can see it. All right, $8,704, 300 payments, and here is where the loan started when I click calculate on here. All right, now this is a loan calculator I got offline, online. It's Brett Whistle, BRETWHISSEL. That's S as in Sam, S as in Sam, E-L. I'll spell it for you again. Brett Whistle, B-R-E-T, last name Whistle, W-H-I-S-S-E-L. This is not mine. I just use this to point out why our strategies and our technology is so powerful. So here we have $1,488,906 in loans. I need you to see what is happening here. Out of that payment of $8,704, look, $2,500 goes to principal, $6,203.78 goes to interest. I need you to understand why we get loans in the first place. Okay? When we're into real estate, when we're trying to level up, all right, we're creating equity. If you're not creating equity, then we shouldn't be in the business. So when the definition of equity is how much there's the difference between how much the property is worth and how much I owe on the property. The difference is the equity, the amount of equity that you have. All right. And equity has a value that you can leverage. Okay. Are we good? So with this, and when you pay your loan down, you're increasing your equity by the amount of money that you're putting on the principal. So with this loan, with the very first payment, $2,500 is going to equity. All right. It's going to pay the loan down, increasing the equity by $2,500. But real estate investors look and listen very carefully. This $2,500 in equity costs $6,203.78. If you are a real estate investor, even though this property is cash flowing like gangbusters, do you believe that to get $2,500 in equity, $6,200 is too much to pay for $2,500 in equity? If that's what you believe, could you put a number 9 in the chat right now? Put some number 9s in the chat if you believe that that's too much money to pay for $2,500 in equity, even though you're cash flowing like crazy. All right. William Bell says, Corrine says, yes. All right. Online. All right. Let's see what we have. Courtney says, yes. That's too much money to pay. That's too much money to pay. So I'm going to teach you how to read this amortization. Steve Mack says that's too much money to pay. If you're online, do you believe that's too much money to pay? If you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, is that too much money to pay? Put something in the chat right now. All right. So watch this, folks. I need you to see this. I need you to focus in on this very, very tightly on how amortization really works. And the key is understanding interest cost. When you get an amortization schedule from the bank, it looks like something like this. You're going to get a column that says principal, you're going to get a column that says interest, and you're going to get a column that says principal balance. Those are the 3 columns you get from the bank. We're adding 2 more columns, which is going to make this thing crystal clear. Wake up, everybody, wake up. All right. So when we look at cumulative principal and cumulative interest, anytime during this process, anytime during this loan, you can look at any month and see how much principal you paid down, how much equity you have accrued and what it costs in interest to get it. All right? Now, don't forget, I'm going to pull back here. I'm going to pull this down. Don't forget. I'm not forgetting that this particular real estate investor is pulling in over $57,800 a month, paying out $14,000 in mortgage payments, almost $15,000. I'm not forgetting that. He's making money. He's doing what he's supposed to do. But when he read my book, The P.I.L.L Method, A Better Way to Eliminate Debt, okay, when he read my book, he says, I need to start paying attention to this thing. So he's saying, I'm getting equity, but I'm paying a lot of interest. If we take a look at cumulative principal and cumulative interest for 1 year on this loan, I need you to look at line 12 if you're watching this online. If you want to see it online, go to your favorite social media platform, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Search P.I.L.L Method and watch us live. You can see it. At the end of 1 year, the amount of he was taking his rents coming in and paying the mortgage at the end of 1 year, just on one mortgage, he paid this loan down by $30,699.86. But look how much interest it cost. $73,748.14, folks. That's over $104,000 of his hard-earned money, even though $104,000 came through his bank account and went right back out, okay? Not just to pay the loan, but to pay the interest on the loan. That is a lot of money, $73,000. So here's what we need to understand. Watch this and watch it closely. If you want to ask a question on this, please do raise your hand, come to the stage, and start sharing this room. We got 21 shares. We got 35 people in here. If we make this first payment in January, $2,500 goes to principal. We subtract that from what we owe. We are left with a principal balance of $1,486,000. Okay? We're left with a principal balance. It cost $6,000 of our payment went to interest. If that is January's payment, and we have the amortization schedule right here in front of us, we can see February's principal payment, which is $2,510.64. Okay? So I asked this gentleman, and when he got this, he read my book, and he began to see what was going on here. And then he called me and I gave him some additional information. Here's what the additional information he asked for. I'm looking at next month's principal payment. And I already know I don't have to wait till next month to give the bank an extra $2,510. But if I give it to them in January, I'm now understanding that that money goes straight to principal. $2,510.64 goes to principal, but guess what, folks? No interest comes out of that money. Now, if he waits till February, if he waits till the next month, he's got to give a full payment, and $6,000 goes to interest just to get the $2,500 in principal. Listen very closely. If he prepays that in January, the $2,510, it goes to principal right now. He's paid down to line 2 in January without paying any interest. So this $6,193.36 on line 2, he does not have to pay now. He just reduced his overall interest cost by over $6,000 by giving the bank the $2,500 early. Money he was going to give them anyway. So if I'm going to get $2,500.10 worth of equity, folks, you tell me, do I want to pay $6,000 for it? Or do I want to get it absolutely free? my goodness. If that was, listen, is that good news? Is that good news, everybody? Go ahead and put a number 1 in the chat if that's good news. Come on. If that's good news to you, put a number 1 in the chat. So here's, and oh man, I'm so excited. Miss Bella, you missed that part. I hope you were able to see it online. Okay. But watch this, folks. Watch this. Once he learned that, his mind started clicking. I've got all this money sitting over here in the bank. Plus I have my lines of credit. He's got business lines of credit over here on the side too. Oh my goodness. We're going to learn how to leverage our business lines of credit for emergencies like air conditioning repair. When something to do a major plumbing repair or whatever's going on, let's use our lines of credit for that sort of thing. But Don, he's got to pay interest on that. Yeah. Here's what I know. Whatever repair he does, if it costs him $2,500, I guarantee you, no matter what line of credit he has, it's not going to cost him $6,000 in interest to use that line of credit. But $2,500 of his cash money, Lord have mercy, is going to save him $6,000. Oh my goodness. I got Kirk the Bank Barnes in here. I got Credit Ninja in here right now. All right. We got to get her up on the stage. All right. Invite to speak. All right. Let's get them up here. All right. Kirk, what's happening, man?
Hey, good morning, Don. How you doing?
Listen, man, I'm excited this morning. And Credit Ninja, how are you doing this morning? All right. Well, she just wants to support. That's okay. She can talk anytime she wants to talk. All right. All right. Make her a moderator. All right, folks. Listen, I applied that to principal. Do I eliminate 3 mortgage payments I never have to make? I said, yes. If I look at the interest cost on that, is that over $18,000 I don't have to pay in interest now? Just because I did that? I said, yeah, that's right. He says, how was it that I was able to miss that for all these years? How did that happen? I said, it's not your fault. It wasn't that you weren't paying attention in class, sir. There was no class on it until now. My book, The P.I.L.L Method. Now let's put the book on the screen. The P.I.L.L Method, a better way to eliminate debt, has been a #1 bestseller on Amazon 5 times because it's the only book out of 33 million titles that talks about what we're talking about here. What? No other book on Amazon talks about amortization schedules? That's not true. That would be right. There are other books that talk about amortization schedules, but not how to defeat them. That makes all the difference in the world. How to defeat an amortization schedule, what to do, okay? And we're going to get into that just a little bit more. I need you to see for 1 year. Look at 1 year, $30,699.86. Okay? That's how much principal gets paid down in 1 year. But look at how much interest the bank wants them to pay to get that equity, $73,000 on a property that's cash flowing like crazy. So I pointed out, I said, sir, you've got all this money sitting in the bank. He said, yes, I do. I said, you know, you got to eventually pay $30,699 to keep this property going. I mean, yeah, he said, that's easy. The renters are paying that. He says, that's good. And we're good there. I said, so you know you're going to pay that in a year anyway, right? He says, yeah. I says, do you have to pay the $30,000 in 12 monthly installments? I paused there, a pregnant pause, thinking about it. Says, no, I don't have to pay. Okay, Bella Linda said, she come up there and said, wow, right online. 30,000. I said, did you have to pay it in 12 monthly installments? If you got this money sitting over here in the bank, could you advance that money? Could you borrow the money from yourself, sir? Borrow the money from yourself, apply it to this mortgage in 1 month. Would you be paid down to line 12 in 1 month? He says, Don, I would be paid down to line 12 in 1 month. I also asked what would happen to all the interest costs between line 2 and line 12. All those $6,000 payments, 11 of them. What would happen to them? He says, I would not have to pay. Listen, somebody get Tax Deed Wolf up here. So will you invite him up to the stage? All right. And give him a moderator badge, please. I need you to understand what happened here. And focus in on this. 30 grand prepaid. He's going to borrow the money from himself and then apply it to this mortgage and pay it down to line 12 in 1 month. Folks, instead of getting this equity and paying $73,000 for it, he's only going to pay $6,203, the interest on the first line. That is a $67,661.37 interest savings to acquire the same equity. All right, somebody else wants to come up. So we're going to stop right there. We're going to stop right there because we're going to get a little deeper into this thing. But we got some new people on the stage, and I don't want to disrespect them. Credit Ninja, please introduce yourself and tell them what you do if you're available.
Oh my God, you gave some gems, dice, dropping some diamonds. My God. Hey guys, Credit Ninja coming in from Las Vegas. Happy Sunday to everyone. Wow, these are the rooms that you want to hang in because this is the stuff they don't teach you in college. Is that crazy?
That is ridiculous.
Wow. Yeah, you know what? You have to become your own bank. Unfortunately, when you leave the money in the bank, they take your money and they go make money. Wouldn't you rather take some benefit by having your own money? I just never understood that. Let me introduce myself. I'm Credit Ninja on social media. If you really know me, my name is Leanne. I'm a credit expert. I started in the data space, credit algorithms, and then I transitioned into the consumer credit space. Now I'm in the business and corporate credit space. I help entrepreneurs or anybody who want to invest in themselves get excuse me, access to capital by optimizing their credit. And then from there, since I do talk to so many different entrepreneurs, I get access to so many different businesses. And now I'm doing deals outside of just the credit space. So real estate, technology, um, health products and so forth is because now my brand has actually expanded into other verticals. But Ice, thank you so much for inviting me up, and I'm here just to support and of course bring my audience in so that they get the knowledge. Any bit of knowledge actually helps your life. So back at you, Ice.
Thank you so much. Kurt the Bank Barnes, please introduce yourself and talk to the folks while I take a little break here because I get so excited. I don't want to wear myself out before the time ends. I got some additional information to share about isolating the principal amount, talking about the P.I.L.L method today. Kurt, who are you and what do you do?
How you gonna have me go after Credit Ninja? You can't do that to me. Taxi, you want to go first? I could go after Taxi. You know.
He's not gonna.
But no. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Ice, Kareem, Credit Ninja. Good morning, Credit Goddess as well. Good morning, Taxi, Lisa, Courtney, Bella, Shantae, and Jose. We appreciate all you guys for being here today. And guys, these moderators are phenomenal. Credit Goddess is like one of the most silent people seen on this. Credit Goddess, she only cracks her mic to speak when she feels necessary. I love that about her, man. But Ice, I'm just here to listen, learn, and the same my day. This is your day, so I'm just here to show support. And P.S. Right, I am in ICE's program. So I'm not here, BSing, and he's not here BSing. And you guys will hear about it if he doesn't do a good job with me. So definitely, he got a big plate to fulfill. So that's a fact, Lisa. I will call him out on a Monday or Tuesday, Lisa. You know how those rooms get, right? So if Don will take care of me, things are gonna be a little different. But I know that he
You
will.
are a spiteful one.
But I know
Ooh-wee.
that he will, and I saw the value in his program, and that's why I honestly signed up for it. So, Don, I appreciate of you, and just thank you for giving me the platform.
Not a problem, my brother. Listen, I've learned some terms since I've been here on Clubhouse, like pack you up.
Or Dachshund.
What? Okay, like drag you all over Clubhouse. Listen. I've learned some terms here. Okay, and listen, folks. Here's what I want you to just as a side note. Just as a side note. All right, there are a lot of people here that claim to do what they do. All right, but guess what? They're the ones that are making all the claims. There's nobody that's coming up and saying, yes, I do business with this person and they do exactly what they say they'll do. I'm not hearing that from some of these other folks. They're making all their own claims with no one coming up and saying, yes, they're right. I do business with them and I paid them and they'd listen, because when people start complaining, the first thing they'll say is, yeah, they didn't follow my instructions. Here's what we're going to do. All right. And Kurt will tell you, anybody who does business with me, I guarantee your results or I pay you your money back. Guarantee your results or I pay you your money back. I give it to you in writing. All right. Come on. And it's a lifetime guarantee. Listen, it doesn't last for like 27 hours. You see what I'm talking about, folks? So listen, I need you all to get this and get it well. Get it well. Okay. So now, I have somebody who might want to ask some questions. Miss Shantae, I see you here. Do you have a question or comment?
Good morning. Yes, baby, I see it. Sorry, my 5-year-old drew me a picture and it is beautiful. Lots of colors. Anyways, I love coming in here and supporting your room. And of course, Kareen pinged me in and I've done your method before. Before I knew you, we owned multiple care homes and my husband had private investors for 4 out of the 5. And what we did with one of them with that method is we had a mortgage. We'd purchased the home for 210 and we had it down by doing that method. Within 5 years, we only owed $63,000. So I can 100% back you up in what you're saying. It is absolutely accurate. So for any of you, if you are not following Don, you absolutely need to. You need to follow everybody up here because if they're in here, they're supporting Don, they're part of that group. It's on, man. They're bringing the heat. They're telling you exactly what to do, and just follow and learn. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we have Lisa. Lisa, how are you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning, Don. I'm doing great. My name is Lisa Martin. I'm not in real estate. I am a water expert. I manage water utilities. I own several water utilities and I create consumer products for water filtration and things like that. And I've really expanded into that this year. But in everything that I do, I have never learned the things that I've learned about my own home ownership the way that I have from watching you work a spreadsheet. I got to be honest, this is, I think, my 4th home. And I have seen amortization schedules for years and just thought this is what you pay and never understood how to use that information to change the way that I manage my own mortgage to benefit me more than the bank. I just never dug in. So I was just thinking this is absolutely something that should be talked to our kids because we all have it. We all get involved with it. We just don't all understand it. So I love what you do. The way that you explain it is so clear. And just opens my eyes to what I've already been involved in. So I needed your education. I love this room. So great to be here.
Thank you so much. Tax Deed Wolf, you know we've got to do some business, man. Listen, when I hear you talk about creating money out of thin air, all right? Come on, man. Can you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
100%. First of
No, no,
all,
no, no.
is
Don, before he goes, I teach him everything he knows. I teach him everything he knows.
oh, Kirk. All right, Kirk. Look, so for, first of all, Don, I just have to, give flowers where flowers are due. Everyone on this stage, the moderators, I've been in multiple rooms with all these individuals, and in these times, man, in these times with so much going on in the world, a lot of people are lost. And I don't know a better way to put it. There's just so many people that are lost out here. So for anyone on this stage with the green bean, like they're saying, like follow these individuals, because from Don all the way down to Lisa, Kareen, and even some people in the audience, like I see y'all constantly giving back. I see the hours, I see the time that you all put in to legitimately helping people. And that's what we need today. That's what we need in this world. We need more building each other up and a lot less tearing each other down, right? And I've seen everyone on the stage, I've the moderators at least, I've seen y'all doing this, and I just want to, applaud y'all for that. So what I do, y'all, tax deed investing. I'm a Army veteran, retired nurse. The Army sent me to nursing school. I was National Guard. I was doing a whole bunch of crap, y'all. Just taking a whole bunch of orders in every single category that you could think of. But I loved helping people. I could keep you alive. I was running the ICU. Whatever problem it was, I felt like I was the one to fix it. But I didn't like being away from my family so much. I was spending so much time in that hospital, and I had spent so much time over freaking seas, and I had another daughter on the way, and I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I need to find a way to get my time back. I need to control my life. And so what I jumped into, I got into tax deeds. Why? Because I didn't have a lot of money at the time. So when I figured out that, hey, there's a way for me to get property for under $3,000, I dove right into it. So we jumped into this tax deed investing games. There's a lot of misconceptions that you're going to hear. Tax liens, there's tax redemption deeds, and there are tax deeds. What a lot of people think is there's a waiting period, right? There's not always a redemption period. You don't always have to wait for these properties. I can literally go online right now and buy a property. If Giuseppe right now, Giuseppe, I know we're talking soon. I know we're talking, right? I think next weekend. But if Giuseppe gave me $3,000 right now, I could go get a property right now with that $3,000. Okay, it will have a structure on it. I'm not even talking just land. So we are getting property like clockwork, and this is something that you should all understand. You should understand, Don, the P.I.L.L method. When I told people this, Don, before I even heard you speak, my mentor actually had taught me this already. But when I heard what you were doing and you had, software and stuff, I was like, oh my God, how are people not learning this stuff? How are people not blowing up your DMs right now? You're literally you're saving money and years, right? You don't even have to pay that mortgage for that entire 30 years. That is crazy. But so many of us, like I said, we're lost. What are they doing, Don? They're refinancing. Every like 2 years, people are refinancing, going back into 30-year terms. Like they're literally never gonna pay off that house. And that's what's crazy. So this is so important for you all to be here. Thank you so much, Don, for bringing me up on stage. Thank all the moderators. I freaking love y'all to life. Like that is no joke. This is what God put me here to do, to give back. And I'm just so excited to be surrounded by other people who are literally doing what they're on this earth to do as well. I'm just glad to be a part of it, y'all. So thanks, Don.
Listen, thank you very much. Listen, I've got some other folks on the stage, and I want to point out, I got Cold Crush, I got Giuseppe. I want to get back into this example, though, so that I want to have them introduce themselves as well. If you are in the audience and you want to ask a question, come on up and ask your question. We're going to get to that. And listen, I want to be able to make sure that we can cover that, because I've got just a little over an hour left on this thing. So here's what we're saying, folks. If you are a real estate investor, all right, you may not be interested in paying off the debt because you want to be able to what? Cash out, refi, take your equity, and reinvest that money. There are so many ways to make money in knowing this thing. What we are trying to introduce is the millions upon millions, tens of millions, even hundreds of millions of dollars that are not being earned because we are paying interest we don't need to pay. Okay? Now, I need you to focus in here on this part right now. Right now, I need you to focus in on this because I just showed this real estate investor, gave him a little, just give him a little tidbit to wet his whistle. Says, you're going to pay, and you can see it on my screen right now. You can see it on my screen where in 1 year he's going to pay this loan down by $30,699.86. Now, don't forget, if you're new to the room, here is his situation here. I got a split screen now. Split screen. All right. He's got 2 office buildings, cash flowing over $57,000. His monthly mortgage payments are $14,696. All right, making plenty of money. And he's putting about 11.2% of that money in a reserve fund for repairs and maintenance. He also has lines of credit that aren't in here that he's leveraging as well. So listen, this guy is set up perfectly. He's making money hand over fist. But when he read my book, The P.I.L.L Method, A Better Way to Eliminate Debt, he said, there's something we're not paying attention to. What we're not paying attention to, even though I'm making money and my tenants are paying that, all the money that's coming through my hands, 1,123,000 of it is going to go to interest. I'm now finding out it doesn't have to. So we're showing him how to only pay around $231,000 in interest. That's an $891,000 interest savings. That's a reduction of interest costs by 79%. All right. So Yolanda Sells, Michigan, bring her up. She wants to have something to say. So let's bring her up. All right. So listen, folks, here we are. He wants to know, how do we get that 79% interest? I want to show you one thing about this. OK, watch this right now. This is key. This is why you don't do it every month. And it's going to make total sense when I show you this. So I give him an example. If you borrow money from yourself, I mean borrow it. When you borrow money, you have to pay it back, even when you borrow it from yourself, correct? Borrow some cash from yourself that's sitting in a bank account making 0.1%. Let's say we borrow about $30,699, $30,700. We're going to borrow that from yourself out of your bank account, which has over $100,000 in it. Apply it to this mortgage principal, pay it down to line 12 in 1 month, and save $67,000 in interest. Now, he borrowed the money from himself. He paid it to the mortgage, knocked off a year's worth of payments. Okay. His next payment next month, all right, doesn't change, but it will be on line 13 of his amortization schedule. This is money he was going to pay anyway, folks. But he paid it in 1 month because he had it and saved $67,000 in interest. What? Yeah. And his next mortgage payment next month is going to be on line 13 of the schedule, knocking off all those payments and saving all that money in interest. Now, since he borrowed that money from himself, what is he going to do now? I said, you're putting about $6,000 into your bank account out of the rent you're receiving. How long is it going to take you to pay yourself back, to get yourself back that $30,000? He says, at about 5 months. I says, what if we just made the minimum payments for 5 months? And in 5 months, after you build your stash back up, could you do that again? Another pregnant pause. He said, yeah, because that money I have in the bank is making 0.1%. I never really looked at it before because, it's just comforting to have it just in case something goes wrong. But it's just sitting there. I could take that money in 5 months, do it again. And I said, in 5 months, could you do it again? And in 5 months, could you do it again? Until we're getting so much equity, so much cheaper, using money, that dormant money, that lazy money sitting in the bank waiting for something to go wrong. Plus, I have lines of credit to back me up. Oh my goodness. We can get down to where he would have $100,000 in equity. Okay? $132,000 in equity. Not for the $285,000 in interest the bank wants him to pay for it. We could show him how to do it for less than $100,000 in interest to get the same amount of equity. Years sooner. Years sooner. Reinvest that money and start tracking how much interest you're not paying, and then put that on a spreadsheet. And so now I'm acquiring the same equity for a lot less interest. Let me see what I would have paid anyway. And now I'm going to make sure that I invest the money that I just saved and turn it into long-term money coming into my family compound interest. Man, you can't beat that. All right, I got to get back to some of the other moderators. I got Cold Crush on the stage. Cold Crush, do you have a comment or a question, or tell the folks who you are and what you do?
Man, I just came in the room to support you, bro. But if you want me to tell them what I do, I don't have no problem doing that.
Please do.
Let me turn off the TV. So I go by Cold Crush. I cover 48 states. I specialize in new construction and multi-family, anything with 250 doors or more. Also help specialize in facilitating sales. I teach people how to get into multi-family, basically teaching you how to have your own monopoly board in real life, using principles from the game. So that's basically what I've been doing on this app for a while. I just kind of been, on not here, but multifamily. If you want to get into multifamily, and I'm talking about more than 4 doors, 12 doors, don't matter where you are. How to get into that and build long-term wealth, and I'm your guy. Property management, anything under property management, A class, B, C's, or D's, Section 8, income restricted, conventional, it doesn't matter. I know how to do them all.
Thank you, sir. Folks, keep sharing the room and bringing more people in, because when they see this, they want to come in and get more information about how to save this money if you're a real estate investor. And speaking of real estate investors, Cold Crush, I talked to Alvin Johnson. In fact, he brought me into to Dallas to speak at his event not too long ago about multifamily investing. And he told me that when he's building, he's putting in this buildings up, these multifamily situations, he's stressing that, meaning he's saying, I'm putting this up and I'm going to plan on a certain amount of vacancies. Is that a good strategy to plan on how many apartments stay vacant and this still makes money?
Well, he's probably using it as a tax write-off, but it all depends on what his loan is and what he's trying to do. A lot of people, if they're not doing new construction, they like to buy the ones that have a lot of vacancies, because that drives down the asking price. And they try to go into markets where the rents are undervalued, they're not at market rate. They can go in and do renovations, and after the renovations of just simple stuff of flooring and countertops, lighting fixtures, they can go ahead and increase the rent. Increasing the rent increases your rent roll, which increases the overall value of the property after you already got the initial loan, so you can pull all the instant equity out.
Yeah, but these are new bills.
Yeah. So he's probably got a strategy where he's
Good.
trying to keep a certain amount vacant for a certain amount of time based upon the terms of the loan.
All right. So now he said, if I do that, so he's got that he's looking at, and because it's new build, they're building in how much money goes into reserves for repairs and maintenance. And if you have a new build, you don't have that much repair and maintenance, do you?
No.
Okay.
Don't.
So he's got that money sitting on the side. when I showed him how he could leverage just a little bit of that money he has sitting on the side, sitting in a bank account, making practically no money. And I showed him every time you do that, just a portion of that saves you over $100,000 in interest you don't have to pay. He moved from the back of the room up front to the stage. And he says, I see it now. I once was blind, but now I see. Oh my gosh. So listen, folks, if you're a real estate investor, you want to start paying attention to your interest costs. Giuseppe, come on, man. Take a few minutes and tell us who you are and what you do. Let me jump back into these presentations. Go ahead, man. Giuseppe.
I'm sorry, I started to speak with the microphone was closed. Happy to be here. I'm back in USA, and I'm so on the top of the world. I'm a real estate investor, Italian real estate investor, and I was last 11 days in Italy, and I meet several big investors. Everybody, they say me no when I introduce them the Cleveland project. Today, everybody, they say me yes for my next project in Ocala, close to Orlando, Homestead, close to Miami. That is to show you everybody know who I am, who you can do, who you can be, if only you trust in yourself, you work hard. Forget Saturday, Sunday, forget 9 a.m., 5 p.m. If you want to realize an American dream, you can do that. In 6 years, I'm passer from scratch, sleep in the car, drive for Uber and Lyft. Today, 150 employees, Cleveland, Ohio, over 500 property. And like I said, I don't find a deal, I build a deal. Because I'm under contract, a multifamily office was a bankruptcy, and we have a project, developer project, to transform this office, multi-office is multifamily. This is exactly what it means for me to be a real estate professional. People don't trust in the word, life don't trust in the word, life trust for what you do, not for what you say. This is me, Giuseppe. If you give me a follow, I take care of your follow. I invite in my clubs about real estate investor. Giuseppe, back to you, Don. Thank you.
Thank you, Giuseppe. Listen, folks, we're 1 hour into this thing, and I did all of this to set up not just paying any amount towards that, but we could help you to figure out the exact amount to pay so that you can save the most amount of money in interest per dollar applied. Listen, folks, do you want to save some interest? Or do you want to save the maximum amount of interest that is available to you with the money you have to work with? That is where this is getting ready to go. We're at the top of the hour. And so you're in the Mortgage Syndicate this morning. If you're not a member of the Mortgage Syndicate, go ahead and click that green house at the top of the page. Join this club. They're on Monday through Friday doing their regular shows from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And that's what they do, folks. And they give you good information, along with some about interest cancellation, about, how to, STR, short-term rentals. They talk about, how you can level up with, multifamily, investing. They talk about becoming, a lender, how you can be the bank. They talk about so many things in this room when it comes to real estate and mortgages. It's not even funny. So if you want to learn something about all of this, come to the Mortgage Syndicate. The P.I.L.L Method Club comes in here on Sundays, but we're only here for a couple of hours, maybe 2.5, maybe 3 hours at the most. But we want you to click on that house at the top and join the room. Also, join the P.I.L.L Method Club, where we are working with people for the last 16 years. We've been teaching people how not to ignore your interest cost on these loans because it is tremendous. If you're a real estate investor, if you're a residential home buyer, you can get your equity much cheaper. Folks, this is not how to pay off your loans fast. It's how to pay off your loans cheap. Reduce your expenses and increase your profits. And interest is the most expensive thing you pay. We think it's taxes. Oh no, you're going to pay far more interest than you'll ever pay in taxes. We're going to give you the sauce and how to pay a lot less
Hey,
interest.
Ice, it's credit. I gotta chime in on that
Come
part.
on.
I've never seen anyone in the history of explaining it the way you did. Okay, so you're saying that you're being more aware of the interest you're paying because you're not doing it right. That's what you're saying. So I see so many people, and I'm gonna point this out because I deal with debt all the time because I deal with credit reports and so forth. I have these people that have gotten like, temporary low interest or zero interest. And then that creeps up on them. It creeps up on them. A year came by real fast. And then they're like, now it bumped up to 22%. And then now all their cards are at 22%. So they have all this debt kind of looming over them. And then they have money sitting in a saving accounts. And they could have actually leveraged that to pay it down and get business cards to put in their business instead of see. And so they don't understand that, oh, wow, great. You're sitting on all this money in your savings account and it's actually costing you because that 10,000 is now worth 7,000 and you could have paid down all the interest on these credit cards that you've been bleeding out over here. So you're literally bleeding your stomach is bleeding out and and then you had a bandage over here that you could have bandaged it or you could have had like surgery on it with that money and then you could have stopped that bleeding early on, but no, you keep bleeding and bleeding and bleeding and like your gut is out here and you're thinking, wow, but the money that could have saved your gut was sitting there, I just can't believe what you just said. I don't know. Are people awake right now? Go get a shot of espresso right now. Go get you probably couldn't buy an espresso because you're paying too much interest. But anyways, get a shot.
Oh my gosh.
Whatever, guys. Get a shot of espresso. Open your eyes really big because I want to learn too because these methods are deep. It's not surface level, right, Ice? Um, and I have one of my friends that are on here, Carlos. He's finishing up a phone call, but I like to guest mod him for a second. And as soon as he comes in, I want you to meet
I'm in
him
credit.
because
I'm in.
oh, you're in? Okay. Let me just mod you real quick, and then if he can do a quick intro real quick. But you mentioned something that was really important early on, Ice. You see so many people on Clubhouse that say they do this, they say they do that. I've seen a lot of people do testimonials for Ice. I've been in these mortgage rooms, but I don't see very many testimonials of people that have been coached by you and actually gotten results, like life-changing results. And I want to introduce you, Carlos. I met him on Clubhouse. He is a client of mine. And the magic that happens is the relationship and the caring concern that takes place. Carlos, you have a minute to chime in about our relationship and then also your superpower in terms of the mortgage space, because we are in the mortgage real estate space, and how you could probably, I'm thinking that you and I should like lock hands to help your clients with their mortgage, because once you get them the mortgage, they need to do it right. Go
Yeah,
ahead, Carl.
ice is cold,
Ice
baby.
is rock, man.
Ice is cold, baby. Just been in here for about 15 minutes and already getting a gang of knowledge, right? Because we all know that information changes situations. Drop a one or a two or a heart or something in the chat if you know that information changes situations. Credit, I appreciate you so much. My name's Carlos Pucker, and they call me the original loaded agent. I help agents understand the investor mindset by breaking the 3% glass ceiling on commissions, 10, 15, 20, 30%, and helping serve clients in a way that they haven't been served in the past. So I said something that just really jumped out to me. He said, people think that they're going to spend the majority of their money on taxes, but no, no, no. Like the Kembe Mutombo, you're actually going to spend far more in interest. And the reality of it is, when you look at your PITI on your mortgage statement, guess which I you going to pay first? And it ain't you, baby. It is not you. It's going to be the interest, right? Unless you're setting up things like an accelerated principal payment to combat that interest, it ain't gonna happen. Because trust me, whoever gave you the money gonna get their money back first. And I know I talk fast, so just listen a little faster because I gotta get to church. Okay, so check this out. I deal with mortgage. I deal with appointment of substitute trustee. I deal with tax lien, foreclosure, probate, appointment of subs. Divorce, separating assets, things of this nature. One of my mantras is the bigger the problem, the bigger the paycheck. And I love Giuseppe and I love Ice. And I love some of the things that I'm hearing in the room. I heard another young gentleman who's learning from ICE the P.I.L.L method, right? And so what I teach my agents is this. First of all, a lot of the times when we run into debt and we haven't paid it properly, the reality of it is we haven't been educated, right? And so really fast when I met credit, my wife is 1/3 of the mom link, Nicole Pucker. And so she said, listen, you got to meet C-Rock, you got to meet credit. I know you've been wanting to expand your business and you're going to have to do that a little bit differently. So, my average commission on a house that's maybe 250 to 30,000 to 250,000 to $300,000 is anywhere between 25 and $100,000 in commission. And we do this regularly. And so I said to credit, I said, look, I make a ton of cash. I'm really not too concerned about the credit aspect of things. And she said, you sound stupid. I love credit because she's so direct and so blunt, right? That if you're not really ready for it, or if you don't have business acumen, or you don't have a little bit of a tougher skin, it might offend you. But I was already ready for it, right? And so what she said to me is, she said, you got a ton of cash in the bank. You're helping a ton of people with a very, very creative method. But imagine if you use credit to do that, how many more people you would be able to actually help. And so she nurtured me. When she talked about relationships, she spent time with me and nurtured me and gave me information that changed my situations. It's only been 90 days since I known credit, and I got 2 platinum cards, unlimited credit, Chase Sapphire, all these different things that allow me to help people in many different ways. So I got a probate deal. I just want to give you a quick story. I got 2 probate deals in the last, I want to say 2 weeks. One's going to yield us about $300,000 commission. The other one's going to yield us about $100,000 commission. But here's the thing about it. When we take these people and maybe they have some financial duress, maybe they're taking a property over that they're going to have to pay taxes on, continue to pay a note on, maybe continue to pay utilities on. And so that inheritance to them actually becomes a burden. And so we teach them how to escape with that cash money and then what to do with it and turn it into credit. Credit also said something. You're bleeding, you're bleeding, you're bleeding, you're bleeding. You probably can't even afford an espresso because you're paying such high interest payments and you're never actually attacking the principal. So what we do, ICE, is we teach them, and everybody in the room, we teach them, once we get them out of this detrimental situation, and whether it's the investor that's coming in and helping put a little bit of capital back into the hands of the original homeowner, whether we're bringing an investor in and we're doing everything from the rooter to the tutor, inspection report, structural engineer report, showing them what this property is going to be worth after they actually take it, list it, or hold it, right? Which is where ICE would come in for me. So we can give them an idea of how to, properly allow these investments to cash flow over time and how to get out of the loan faster, which is something that I can learn from you as well, ICE. I don't know everything, but I'm a huge fan of information and putting it into action. You hear what I said? Information is cool, but without action, it's nothing, right? And so we take these very precarious situations and we help people that maybe had a high debt to income ratio, dramatically reduce that debt to income ratio and work with them for 6, 12, 15, 18 months, put them back in a position to get back into ownership. And then by that time, they're starting to learn about investing through us. They're starting to learn about cash flow properties, creative acquisitions. I'm looking at a couple properties right now that we're looking to get into subject to. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, but we're going to take over the pre-existing loan, have our lawyers draft up some paperwork, and we're just going to buy the equity for a little bit less, right? So this is such an amazing room. There's so much. I'm not even gonna call it game. This is strategic. This is strategy to win the game. And I'm super appreciative of you, Ice. Credit. Thank you for bringing me into the
Okay,
room.
second. Hold 1 second. Tell them the story about how you had a deal and you went into the bank based on your credit and you were
Mhm.
able to leverage that to get the deal
So
done 600,000, and you never could have done that before because of the knowledge that you learned
let me
from
let me give you guys a let me give you
but
guys a thank you credit. Thank you for reminding me of that story. Because
but you know how there's different speeds when you listen to audio tape, and there's level 1 and level 5. You were talking at level 5. Let's simmer down that teapot to level 3, just so that we can hear, because there's no rush in this. This is an important story, guys, and this applies to what ICE is teaching you in the strategy that nobody teaches you, because they want to keep the rich want to keep this stuff to yourself. ICE,
it's
I
true.
know you agree with me. Okay, go ahead, go
Okay,
shoot, go.
let me slow it down because I'm from Detroit, so we
Listen,
hustle, right? We
listen,
move fast. So
listen up,
orange.
listen up,
Okay,
folks.
I'm in.
Wait a second, Carlos. Wait a second, folks. Are you listening here? You, these folks, these folks that are talking to you right now. If you're in this room, all right, and you have look at how many followers Credit Ninja has, how much respect that she has, and she says, "Listen, you need to listen to this guy." All right. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to listen to this guy. You need to listen to this guy. Listen, this is my show. I'm going to, and it's being recorded. I know you want me to get back into this, but I'm always going to be here. I may not see Carlos again for weeks. So please have a little bit of patience. Carlos, tell your story. It's got to be that important if Credit Goddess brought you up.
Thank you, Ice. I appreciate you so much. You're a scholar and a gentleman, and I can tell that you got a lot of acumen and a lot of knowledge. So I just gave you a follow. I'm gonna be in the back channel with you in a minute. I'm gonna drop you my direct contact information. I truly do appreciate. I do appreciate you. And so, you know what Credit said, and that just speaks to the value that I put on relationships. Because when you hear somebody that and you know what they're saying makes a little bit more sense than what you're used to, you got to take the time to get to know that person. Okay. And so that's why I love Credit. Like legitimately, I text her every single day. Okay. So guys, I just want to give you a little bit of transparency here. Maybe about 120 days ago, I was about a 650, 676. I think I was like a 700, just over 700, one of my reports. And I thought I was killing it. I was like, oh, my credit is great. Gosh, I come from nothing, guys. Like I'm the first generation 6 and 7 figure earner per year in my family. Okay. Now I ain't did no what do they call that when you go on those sites and you get ancestry? I ain't did none of that. But as far as I know, I'm the one. Okay. And so, Credit has taken me from that point, and I just listened to her. Let me give you 2 words. I'm on my way to church. So I want you to understand these 2 words: discipline, obedience. Discipline, obedience. And so when Credit gave me information that I never knew before, I had to be disciplined and take myself from what I thought I knew and be okay with being obedient and putting a new idea in my mind and taking action on that new idea, which means there could be no ego involved. I had to be like a brand new baby and just listen to what she told me, because when Belichick is your coach and you know that he won championships, you should probably be listening. I'm just let that sit there for a minute. He told me to slow it down. So the
Well,
tortoise.
I want you to slow it down, but not that slow, because
Okay.
we're only here. I'm
So
only here for about
so
45 more minutes. Come on.
so I'm gonna make so let me speed it up a little bit. I get this deal. It's about a $1.3 million house. Okay. We're able to get into this thing at little to no money. Pretty much no money. Let's just keep it transparent. Okay. But here's what has happened in a very short period of time. Because my credit is so good and my cash is available, it gives the banks and it gives the lending companies a really good physical look at what you're capable of. And so and this is also to do with relationships. And so we get in contact with this person. This person is they're on a pre-foreclosure auction block, but I know all the strategies. So I call a good friend of mine who I have a good relationship with, and I say, hey, good friend, I need to get this house off of the auction block. I don't have enough time to call my lawyer and do all these TROs and all these other type of things. I just need to send this information to the lending company so that they give me the opportunity to purchase the house. And then I can go in and tinker around with it. So I call them, I say, listen, you can't pull my credit, but I will give you the screenshots from my credit bureaus so you know where my credit is at. I'm a 740 plus, I'm 850 here, I'm 820 here, blah, 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 blah. He goes, Carlos, no problem, send me over the screenshots. I send him over the information. And then I remember that I have access to this other information to where I can get a pre-approval letter for $600,000. And the kicker to this, guys, is that I make this offer on this house. I get in contact with this company because of my credit and my relationships with this company. He takes a quick look at it. I send the information in. There's 43 minutes before this house is actually going to be auctioned. I send over this pre-approval letter for $600,000. I write up, because I'm a licensed realtor, I have one of my agents on my team write up the offer, put it in my LLC, put it in my corporation's name, and I send it over to the lawyer. The lawyer says, okay, no problem. We took it down off the auction block, and that's going to make us about $250,000 to $300,000 in one deal, and we've already got several offers on it. So I hope I didn't give you too much of a a concentrated version of that, and that it makes some sense. But anybody can follow me on Clubhouse or Instagram or whatever and DM me, and I'll give you more information. Like I love giving information because it changes situations. But the first question I'm going to ask you is if you're going to take action. So DM me action, back channel me action. I have no problem giving anybody these methods. Ice, I'm sorry for taking up too much time. I'll land it right there. I hope I was able to give you a connected dot point on that.
Thank you.
Because the
So
credit is what got me into that situation. Thank you, Ice. I appreciate you. Thank you, Credit. Kareen, I see you.
thank you so much, everyone. Listen, did you hear that, folks? One of the things that he mentioned here, okay, because it's going to happen. I need you to listen very, very closely because I picked up on it. Right now, people are getting, if they're wise, they're getting into real estate. They're getting into real estate, whether it's residential or whether it's they are an investor, even though the interest rates are higher, based on what you just learned. Okay, I have on my screen right now. I have on my screen that loan that I was telling you about, and then we're going to get into how we're helping people. All right, and I'm going to give you a famous person that we're helping right now. All right, so we have this loan here. All right, but if this loan was closed today, it would be at 7% or more. I need you to look at the principal payment right here, $2,500, because when you have a loan, that's what you attack the loan with. You attack the loan with the principal payments. The principal payments on this loan are $2,500. In 1 year, we're going to pay this loan down by $30,000. We did an example where we prepaid the $30,000 and saved over $67,000 in interest. But $30,000 prepaid out of a bank account making practically no money, it's a no-brainer once you look at it and understand it. But what if this loan was still cash flowing at 7% interest? I'm going to change it up. 7% interest on the same loan. Now the payment is $10,000, but I don't care what the payment is. You know why? Because the property is cash flowing. Now, why do we want to pay attention to this, especially if you know anything about getting properties subject to? Somebody is getting a property today, and something's going to happen in their life which is going to make them a motivated seller in just a few months. But they have this 7% interest rate, and everybody who's gone to subject to school loves to get the low interest rates. I'm going to show you how you can make money at the higher interest rate, getting this property subject to and creating money out of thin air. Watch this. We're going to get this property subject to, but it's got a 7% interest rate. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at the principal payments now. $1,800. Oh! So if I could pay $2,500 and get rid of one line of the amortization schedule and all the interest on that line, how easy it is to come up with an extra $1,800. Remember, I put 30 grand on that other loan, 30 grand on the other loan, and knocked off 1 year. 30 grand at 7% interest knocks off 16 months. Are you seeing that? The higher the interest rate, the more money and equity you can make easier at the higher interest rates than the lower ones. This is why it's so important to understand what's going on behind the scenes. Okay? So how do I turn this thing into money? All right. So once you take control of the property and your credit is in good shape, guess what? You can leverage that property with a piece of paper and your good credit. Is that what I'm hearing today, folks? Come on. That's what we're talking about. All right, folks. So listen, I need you to listen to this, and then we're going to jump right back in here, because somebody who is just talking about who's saying that what you're doing is valuable. Who's saying it? I need you to listen to this gentleman who says that the P.I.L.L method is valuable. His name is Dr. Eric Thomas. Some people call him E.T., the hip hop preacher. Let's play it. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, and our team created the most powerful money management, wealth building, debt elimination system ever created. At our recent seminar in Nashville, Tennessee, the keynote speech was delivered by the #1 motivational speaker in the world, Dr. Eric Thomas. E.T., as he's also known, mentioned he paid off his mortgage in 4 years using the P.I.L.L method. I invite you to watch and listen.
Listen to me, y'all. Well, one of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down for my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.
Did you hear that? No mortgage, no stress. If you would like to become debt and mortgage free within an average of 7 to 9 years by cutting your interest costs by up to 75%, go to pillmethod.com and request a savings and earnings report today. You heard it here, folks. E.T. himself used this program to pay off his mortgage in about 4 years. Listen, what better endorsement could you have? We want you, if you want to know the month, day, and year you could be debt free, if you want to know how much interest you can save, if you're a real estate investor, if you want to know how soon you can cash out refi at a much lower interest cost, then you want to get a savings and earnings report. Go to my link up above here. Click it and find the link that says get a savings and earnings report. Follow all the information there. All right. Once you follow it, all right, then you will be able to get that report. Follow all the instructions and fill out the financial form. Once you fill out that financial form, someone from my office will give you a call and set up a consultation. You will know the month, day, and year you can be debt free and how much interest you can save. If you're a real estate investor, we're going to show you how you can set up a program where you can get your equity 10 to 12 years sooner at a much less interest cost. It's important. Let's do that. I need you to go right back to the screen here. All right. And I want to show you something that most people are not aware of. Here is the software that we've been talking about in the last couple of minutes here. And I want to show you what we've got. We've got 10 loans in this thing. All right. And knowing exactly how much to put on debt and when. In this program, I have 10 mortgages in here. You see here, 8. Sixth mortgage, third mortgage, second mortgage, fourth mortgage, first mortgage. So we've got all these mortgages in here, but there's sometimes we just make the minimum payments on the mortgage. And we're just going through making our payments and paying the bills. Every now and then, the program says this is the month to take money out of the savings account, pay off the HELOC here, and take only, out of all the money that you have, only take $4,081.46 and place it on, out of the 10 mortgages that you have, let's put this on mortgage number 9. And when you do, watch what happens. The program does all the calculations for you and shows you by putting $4,081.46 on a prepaid to mortgage number 9, it will save you. I need you to zoom in on this. $47,447.05 worth of interest you'll never have to pay. Folks, I want to thank all of you for being here online. If you're on Clubhouse, we're gonna extend this just a little bit longer. And I wanted those folks who were watching us online before we get out of here. This is the fastest 2 hours on Clubhouse. Listen, is my time over? Did we start this at 8:30 a.m. Central Time? And is it already almost 10:30? Oh my gosh, the time just flies. Listen, folks, we're going to be back here Wednesday where we're going to be doing the 4th installment on what is the P.I.L.L method. And we're going to talk a little bit more about isolating the principal amount. I just showed you where the program says don't put any more of your money than $4,081.46 in this month on this day of the month, and you'll be able to take save $47,447.05. If you take, I need you to do the math yourself. Take the $47,447.05 and divide it by the $4,081.46. You will then see how much interest you're saving per dollar. When you find that out, paying any other amount on any other day, the amount of interest you're able to save per dollar goes down from here. Oh, this is what we call optimization, folks. So if you're on the stage, we're going to be able to get to your question here, but I just wanted to be able to show you what is, if you're online, and we're going to be saying goodbye to you right now. I want to thank you so very much. All right, Kurt, can we just go into our outro? I want to thank everybody so much for online. We'll be back here on Wednesday, and we're going to get right back into what the P.I.L.L. method is all about. If you're on Clubhouse, hang out. We'll be right back.